गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतनाम श्री भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतनाम श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतनाम श्री भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतनाम श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल भविष्ट महाभागवत श्री भक्ष्य जी महाराज की जय। नितिल भविष्य श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल भविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पद दक्षिणाथ गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गोपाल वृंद की जय। नामचय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदाते गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज की जय। श्री मन देवी कमग देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Okay. Dandavat pranams, Raseshwari Mataji. All right. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne gauratishe namaha. Guruve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhavo Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinetu Stam Sarvabhuta Hridaya Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridantasto Hyapadrani Vidhunuti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshvavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tavai vasmi najivami tvaya gina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam bhakta vihina aparada lakshaya kshiptashtakama titarangamadhe kripa mahitam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Pradyumna Prabhu. All right, so these past 3 days I was kind of lost because there's so much, all these family lines and so much going on, and I just needed to see a picture of it. And so finally I managed to get my hands on Bhagavat-subhodhini, which is a study guide for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And I'm going to scan it all properly so that I have the whole book and I can send it to anybody who wants. But for now, I just took pictures on my phone of the first few pages. So, the link to Canto 3. In Canto 3, Chapter 21, Vidura requested Maitreya Muni to speak about Swayambhuva Manu's dynasty. Maitreya first described about Manu's second daughter, Devahuti, her marriage with Kardama Muni, their family life, followed by the activities and teachings of their only son, Lord Kapila. But the descendants of Devahuti's daughters were not described. Now, in this first chapter of Canto 4, Maitreya describes the lineage of Devahuti's daughters and also that of Manu's other two daughters, Akuti and Prasuti. So here's an overview. These are the three daughters of Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti, and the two sons, Uttanapad and Priyavrata. Oh, is my voice okay? Raseshwari Mataji, if my voice isn't good, or if the background noise is too loud or something, I can plug in my headphones. Just let me know. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So verses 1 through 9 is the line of Akuti, and then verses 10 through 47 is the line of Devahuti, and 48 to 68 is the line coming from Prasuti. So let's read. I'm just going to read. Everything so that we just get it all, because I wasn't doing it clearly before. Manu's daughters. Swayambhuva Manu begot in his wife Shatarupa 3 daughters, namely Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Akuti and Ruchi. Manu, in consultation with Shatarupa, handed over Akuti to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be given to him as his son. So sometimes a sonless person adopts the son of his daughter as his own son to inherit his property. This is called the Putrika Dharma. Swayambhuva Manu already had 2 sons. Still, he kept this condition at the time of Akuti's marriage because he knew that the Supreme Lord would be born from his daughter Akuti. Yagya and Dakshina. Okay, so now Akuti and Ruchi's son and daughter. Prajapati Ruchi, who is a Brahma Varchasvi, begot in Akuti Yagya, an incarnation of the Lord, and Dakshina, a partial incarnation of Lakshmi. Manu brought home Yagya gladly, and Ruchi kept Dakshina with him. Note: Manu was afraid that his son-in-law, Ruchi, might be sorry for taking his son, but Manu was glad that a daughter was also born along with the boy. The Tushitas. Later on, Yagya married Dakshina. So it might seem weird that Yagya, the brother, married his sister, but this is Lakshmi and Narayan, or Vishnu, and so it's not actually they're eternally a consort. So it's not actually incest like that, even though kind of. So later on, Yagya married Dakshina and begot in her 12 children: Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Santi, Idaspati, Idhma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swahna, Sudeva, and Rochana, altogether called the Tushitas. What does the note say? Although both Yagya and Dakshina appeared from Akuti simultaneously, they are Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi, his eternal consort. They are beyond this material creation, and therefore their relationship cannot be changed. Yes, see. And then, so these are the 6 kinds of beings presiding. Let's put this in me. Okay. These are the 6 kinds of beings presiding during the Swayambhuva Manvantar. There is Manu, the chief progenitor, the sons of Manu, Uttanapad and Priyavrata, the demigods, who are the Tushitas, born of Yagya and Dakshina, what we just read. Sureshwara, that's Indra, and who was Yagya, and the Rishis, Marichi and others, and the Anksha avatars, Lord Yagya. I don't understand this, but Anksha avatar, the Manvantar incarnation, Lord Yagya. Anyhow. The 6 types of beings who preside in a Manvantar are all manifestations of the Supreme Lord. These 6 beings change every Manvantar. Canto 8 mentions the names of the 6 beings for all 14 Manvantars of the current day of Lord Brahma. Okay. Okay, so now let's go through the genealogical lines of Devahuti, Akuti, and Prasuti. Manu handed over Devahuti to Kardama Muni, already mentioned in Canto 3. Manu handed over Prasuti. Is everything working okay? Oh, cool. Okay, sorry. So Manu handed over Devahuti to Kardama Muni. Manu handed over Prasuti to Daksha, whose descendants spread throughout the 3 worlds. And now hear about the descendants of the 9 daughters of Devahuti and Kardama. Okay, so now the genealogical line of Devahuti. So, Devahuti's daughter Kala married Marichi, and from them came the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima. Purnima begot 2 sons, Viraja, Vishvaga, and a daughter, Devakulya, who became the divine Ganga from washing the Lord's feet in another birth. Then Devahuti's daughter Anasuya married Atri, and they gave birth to Dattatreya, Durvasa, and Soma, who are partial manifestations of Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, respectively. And Devahuti's daughter Shraddha married Angira, and from them came 4 daughters, Sinivali, Kuhu, Raka, Anumati, and 2 sons, Uttatya and Brihaspati. Then Devahuti's daughter Havirbu married Pulasta, and they had 2 sons, Agastya, he became Dahragni in his next life, and Vishrava. And Vishrava had married Iravida, gave birth to Kubera, and also had a second wife, Keshini, and they gave birth to Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan. Okay. I didn't know Kubera and Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan were they were half brothers with Kubera. That's really interesting. Okay, so then Devahuti's daughter Gati married Pulaha, and they gave birth to 3 great sages, Karmashreshta, Variyan, and Sahishnu. Then Devahuti's daughter Kriya married Kratu, and they gave birth to 60,000 great sages, called the Valakilyas, because they all retired from family life as Vanaprasthas. Devahuti's daughter Urja or Arundhati, she married Vashishta, and they gave birth to 7 great sages, Chitraketu, Surochi, Viraja, Mitra, Ulpana, Vasu, Bridhyana, and Dyuman. Devahuti's daughter Chitti or Shanti, she married Atharva. They gave birth to Ashvashira. Then Devahuti's daughter Kyati Kyati married Bhrigu, and they had 2 sons, Datta and Vidatta, and 1 daughter, Shri. Datta and married Ayati, and from them came Rakanda, Markandeya Muni, and then Vidatta, the other son, he married Niyati, and they gave birth to Pran, and then from him came Vedashirya, Ushana, that's Shukracharya. Okay, interesting. So Shukracharya is a descendant of Bhrigu, huh? Bhrigu and Kyati, coming from Devahuti. This is all really interesting. Okay. So that's a quick breakdown of it all. Should we read all this? Let's just read all this. Why not? Okay. So that was like a table explaining it, but now the verses are going to explain in more detail. Vidura inquired, how is it that the 3 deities, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife Atri Muni? Okay. So now he's asking about the second one here, the second daughter, Anusurya and Atri. Maitreya described, ordered by Brahma to create, Atri Muni went to Riksha mountain with his wife Anusurya to perform severe austerities. There the river Nirvindya flows, and its banks have many palasha and ashoka trees. Atri's austerities. There Atri Muni controlled his mind and breath through pranayam, and remained standing on one leg for 100 years, eating nothing but air. Atri thought, may the Lord of the universe, the Jagadishvar, of whom I have taken shelter, offer me a son exactly like him. By virtue of his pranayam, a blazing fire came out of Atri's head, burning the 3 worlds. The 3 principal deities saw this and went to Atri's hermitage, along with Gandharvas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, and Nagas. Note, the Lord of the universe, the Supersoul, perceived the fire of Atri's penance, and by his direction, Shiva Brahma perceived it, and by the Lord's direction, Shiva and Brahma perceived it and came to Atri. Okay. Atri was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw the 3 deities, he eagerly approached them, who were seated on a bull, swan, and garuda, and holding Shiva holding a drum, Brahma holding a kusha grass, and Vishnu holding a disc. Atri offered them respects. He offered them dandavat pranams. Atri Muni was pleased to see that they were gracious towards him. He closed his eyes for the time being due to their dazzling effulgence. Gathering his senses with folded palms, he offered prayers in sweet words. Atri Muni's prayers. O Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, you have divided yourself into 3 bodies by accepting the gunas, as you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution. I offer respects to you. Whom among you have I called by my prayer? Note, Atri called for the Lord as Jagat Ishwar in verse 20, but he was not sure who Jagat Ishwar was. That is, he was doubtful about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he asked whom he had called. Also, Atri's statement, you have accepted bodies by the material gunas, was made out of ignorance about Vishnu's position, since it is impossible for the Lord to have a body of material sattva. The 3 lords remained silent. Thus, Atri clarified his statement. I called for 1 lord, desiring a son like him, but 3 of you have come. Please be merciful and let me know how this happened, for I am bewildered. Hearing his words, the 3 great deities smiled and replied as follows. Replied the three lords. Since you are Sat Sankalpa, whatever you wished will be fulfilled. We are all the same person upon who you are meditating. Note, because their activities are creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe, any one of these three may be considered the Lord of the universe, the Jagat Ishvara. Atri Muni did not specifically mention whom he wanted, so all three of them came before him. You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation of our potency and will spread your reputation. Note, in order to show that Vishnu is actually the supreme lord among them, Vishnu became Dattatreya, an avatar, not the other two. Then the three lords disappeared. Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvasa appeared from Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shankar respectively. The Falshruti. The universe is populated by the descendants of the daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Those who faithfully hear the genealogical line of Devahuti will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Okay, so is that what we read up to yesterday? I think so. Let me just check our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam group. Also, if anybody is not in this daily Bhagavatam group, you can be in it. I just give a notification when I'm going live. Okay, yeah, we did read up to 47. So today we're going to finish off the chapter. We're going to read about the genealogical line of Prasuti now. And then later on, I guess we'll read about Akuti. Akuti's genealogical line. All right, so let's go. See, wasn't that so much more clear now? I'm really grateful to all the devotees who put this book together, the Bhagavat-subhodhini. It really is helpful. Okay, so yesterday we read, My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kardama. Anyone who hears the descriptions of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Another of Manu's daughters, known as Prasuti, married the son of Brahma, named Daksha. Tasyam sasarjadu hitrin shodasha malalochana trayodasha dadharmaya Tataikam agnaye vibhu. And Pujamna was sending me a message. Oh, okay. Okay. I'll check that out a little bit later, but it seems like another table, like more in a table form, so that's good. Okay, Daksha begot 16 very beautiful daughters with lotus-like eyes and his wife Prasuti. Of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma, and one daughter was given to Agni. I think there might be some lines missing from this, so let me just open this up here. 49. Okay. Petriva ekam yuktevyo bhavayaikam bhavachide shraddha maitri daya shante stushti pushti kriyonnati buddhir medat tikshahrir murtir dharmasya patnaya shraddha sutta shubham maitri prasadam abhayam daya Shanti sukam mudam tushti smayam pushtir asuyata Yogam kriyo natir darpam artam buddhir asuyata Medashrit smritim tatikshantu Shemam Hri Prashrayam Sutam Murti Sarva Gunotpatir Nara Narayana Vrishi. One of the remaining two daughters was given in charity to the Pitri Loka, where she resides very amicably, and the other was given to Lord Shiva, who is the deliverer of sinful persons from material entanglement. The names of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Santi, Tushti, Pushti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Medha, Titiksha, Hri, and Murti. These 13 daughters produced the following sons. Shraddha gave birth to Shubha. Maitri produced Prasada. Daya gave birth to Abhay. Santi gave birth to Sukha. Tushti gave birth to Muda. Pushti gave birth to Smaya. Kriya gave birth to Yoga. Unnati gave birth to Darpa. Buddhi gave birth to Artha. Meda gave birth to Smriti. Titiksha gave birth to Kshema. And Hri gave birth to Prashraya. Murti, a reservoir of all respectable qualities, gave birth to Sri Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right. So all 13 daughters of Prasuti married Dharma, gave birth to all these. Next one. Yayor Janmanyado Vishwam Abhyanandat Sunirvrita Manansi Kakubo Vata Prasedu Sarito Draya. On the occasion of the appearance of Narayan, the entire world was full of joy. Everyone's mind became tranquil, and thus in all directions the air, the rivers, and the mountains became pleasant. Devavadyantaturiani petu kusuma vrishtaya munayastustuvustatushta javur gandharakinara nrityanti smastriyo deva asit paramamangalam deva brahmadaya sarve upatastur abhishtavai. In the heavenly planets, bands began to play, and they showered flowers from the sky. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers. The denizens of heaven, known as the Gandharvas and Kinnaras, sang. The beautiful damsels of the heavenly planets danced. And in this way, at the time of the appearance of Narayan, all signs of good fortune were visible. Just at that time, great demigods like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. Deva Ucho Yo Mayaya Virachitam Nijayatmanidam Kerupa Vedamiva Tat Pratichakshanaya Etena Dharma Sadhane Rishimurti Nadya Pradushchakara Purushaya Nama Parasmai. The demigod said, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation, which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the form of Narayan Rishi in the house of Dharma." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The universal form of the Lord is the cosmic manifestation, which is an exhibition of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In space, there are innumerable varieties of planets, and also the air. And in the air, there are variously colored clouds. Sometimes we see airplanes running from one place to another. Thus, the entire cosmic manifestation is full of variety. But actually, that variety is a manifestation of the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and that energy is situated in him. Now, the Lord himself, after manifesting his energy, appeared within the creation of his energy, which is simultaneously one with and different from himself. And therefore the demigods offered their respects to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who manifests himself in such varieties. There are some philosophers, called non-dualists, who, because of their impersonal conception, think that varieties are false. In this verse, it is specifically stated, Yomayaya virachitam. This indicates that the varieties are a manifestation of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, because the energy is non-different from the Godhead, the varieties are also factual. The material varieties may be temporary, but they are not false. They are a reflection of the spiritual varieties. Here the word pratichakshanaya, there are varieties, announces the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as Nar-Narayan Rishi, and who is the origin of all varieties of material nature. So yang sthiti vyatikaro pashamaya shrishtan satvena nasuraganan anumeya tattva drishyarada prakarunena vilokanena yachri niketamamalam shipataravindam. Let that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature, and who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance upon the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is the home of the goddess of fortune. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the origin of the cosmic manifestation, is covered by the wonderful activities of material nature, just as outer space, or the illumination of the sun and moon, is sometimes covered by clouds or dust. It is very difficult to find the origin of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, material scientists conclude that nature is the ultimate cause of all manifestations. But from Shastra, or authentic literature like Bhagavad-Gita and other Vedic scriptures, we understand that behind this wonderful cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in order to maintain the regular procedures of the cosmic manifestation and to be visible to the eyes of persons who are in the mode of goodness, the Lord appears. He is the cause of the creation and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. The demigods therefore prayed for his merciful glance upon them in order to be blessed. Evam sura ganaistata bhagavanta vabhishtuto labdhavalo karyayatur archito gandhamatanam. Maitreya said, O Vidura, thus the demigods worshipped with prayers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Narayan. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy, and then departed for Gandhamadan hill. Tavimo vai bhagavato harerangsha ihagato bharavyaya cha bhuva krishno yadu kurutvaho. That's Nar-Narayan Rishi, who is a partial expansion of Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Krishna and Arjuna respectively, to mitigate the burden of the world. Purport. Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Nara is a part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Thus, the energy and the energetic together are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maitreya informed Vidura that Nara, the portion of Narayan, had appeared in the family of the Kurus, and that Narayan, the plenary expansion of Krishna, had come as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with the purpose of delivering suffering humanity from the pangs of material burdens. In other words, Narayan Rishi was now present in the world in the form of Krishna and Arjuna. Svaha bhimaninas chagner atmajang strin aji janat pavakam pavamanam cha Shuchim cha hutabhojanam. The predominating deity of fire begot in his wife Swaha 3 children, named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi, who exists by eating the oblations offered to the fire of sacrifice. Purport. After describing the descendants of the 13 wives of Dharma, who were all daughters of Daksha, Maitreya now describes the 14 daughters of Daksha, Swaha, and her 3 sons. Oblations offered in the sacrificial fire are meant for the demigods, and on behalf of the demigods, the 3 sons of Agni and Swaha, namely Pavaka, Pravamana, and Shuchi, accept the oblations. Interesting. So Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi are the ones who are accepting the oblations. It's really neat. Teva gnaya samabhavan chatvari mkshacha panchacha ta evaiko napana panchasat sakam petri pita mahai. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated, who were also fire gods. The total number of fire gods is therefore 49, including the fathers and the grandfather. Purport. The grandfather is Agni. The sons are Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. Counting these 4, plus 45 grandsons, there are altogether 49 different fire gods. Vaitanit ke karmaniyam namabir brahmavadivi Agneya ishtayo yagye nirupyante gnayastute. These 49 fire gods are the beneficiaries of the oblations offered in the Vedic sacrificial fire by impersonalist Brahmins. Purport. Impersonalists who perform Vedic fruitive sacrifices are attracted to the various fire gods and offer oblations in their name. The 49 fire gods are described herewith. Agnishvata Barhishada Somya Pitara Japa Sagnayo Nagnayasteshan Patni Dakshayani Swada. The Agnishvatas, the Barhishadas, the Somyas, and the Ajyapas are the Pittas. They are either Sagnika or Niragnika. The wife of these Pittas is Svata, who is the daughter of King Daksha. Sagnika and Niragnika means burning or not burning? Just guessing. Let's see if it explains it here. No, I don't see anything explaining that. Okay. Tebyo dadarakanye dve vayunam dharinam svada uvete brahmavadinyo jnanave jnanaparage. Swada, who was offered to the Pittas, begot 2 daughters, named Vayuna and Dharini, both of whom were impersonalists and were experts in transcendental and Vedic knowledge. Bhavasya patnitu sati bhavam devam anuvrata atmana sadrisham putram nalabe gunashilata. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, was the wife of Lord Shiva. She could not produce a child, although she always faithfully engaged in the service of her husband. Pitara pratiprupe sve bhavayana gaserusha aprodhaivat manatmanam ajahad yoga sangyuta. The reason is that Sati's father, Daksha, used to rebuke Lord Shiva in despite of Shiva's faultlessness. Consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic power. Purport. Lord Shiva, being the head of all mystic yogis, never even constructed a home for his residence. Sati was the daughter of a great king, Daksha, and because his youngest daughter, Sati, selected as her husband Lord Shiva, King Daksha was not very much satisfied with her. Therefore, whenever she met her father, he unnecessarily criticized her husband, although Lord Shiva was faultless. Because of this, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up the body given by her father, Daksha, and therefore she could not produce a child. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 1st chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Okay, and so now tomorrow we will read Vidur inquires, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? So we will hear the answer to that question tomorrow. We'll hear the whole detailed story of Sati and Daksha, Lord Shiva. Daksha curses Lord Shiva. All right. And this story will be spread out from chapters 2 to chapter 7. We'll read about the Lord Daksha, the Lord Shiva, Daksha, and Sati. Chapter 2 is Daksha insulted and cursed Lord Shiva for not rising from his seat. Nandi cursed Daksha and his followers. Bhrigu cursed Shiva's followers. Then chapter 3, Daksha initiated a sacrifice and Sati tried to convince Shiva to attend, but Lord Shiva cautioned her. Then chapter 4, yet Sati departed and Shiva's attendants accompanied her. Sati got a cold reception. She condemned Daksha and gave up her body. In chapter 5, angry Shiva sent Virabhadra, who destroyed Daksha's sacrifice and beheaded him. In chapter 6 and 7, Brahma appeased Lord Shiva, and Shiva received Daksha's life with a goat's head. Sorry, I said received. Shiva revived Daksha's life with a goat's head. Daksha prayed to Shiva and started the sacrifice. Vishnu appeared and everyone offered prayers. The Lord cautioned Daksha not to offend again. Daksha completed the sacrifice. Sati took birth as Parvati and married Shiva again. So that's what we'll be reading for the next, next few days. Probably the next week or something. Or more than a week, I'm guessing. All right. Let's see what the comments. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Giridhari, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai, Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtatara Shata Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudeva ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtatara Shata Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtatara Shata Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtatara Shata Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtatara Shata Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gokshara Spavati Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patidashanath Shadhu Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय. सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय. श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय. श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय. श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय. श्री भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय. श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय. श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय. अनंत कोटि वृंद की जय. समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Padadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow. And Pujimanaru, thank you for sharing this other chart. Maybe we can look at it tomorrow also, just to recap a little bit again. The daughters of Nusuti. All right, Haribo. Jai Shri Radhe.